Right now, the most powerful technology on the planet is being fueled entirely by words. Trillions of them, scraped, sorted, and fed into massive server farms to build large language models. We are constantly told that this is unprecedented. We are told that we are standing on the edge of the singularity, a moment where our technology outpaces human comprehension and fundamentally breaks reality. But we actually have a word for the unstoppable weight of past actions crashing into the present. The ancient Anglo-Saxons and Frisians called it Wyrd, W-Y-R-D. Over the centuries, pronunciation and meaning shifted. The modern-day words for word, weird, and fate all kind of tie back to the same idea. Weird wasn't a magical spell, and it wasn't a pre-written destiny. It was a web, a terrifying realization that with every choice, every spoken oath, and every action is weaving together a web, tightening around the present moment. And we spent the last 50 years building a global World Wide Web. Now we are feeding every word ever written into it to see what wakes up. We are literally building a word apocalypse. Welcome to Wyrdmaggedon. Welcome to Wyrdmaggedon. Long term, this won't be a tech or history podcast, not quite. It's more so a podcast about learning the ancestral language of English. Consider it English class. For Old English. Before the Romans came, they wrote in runes, not Latin characters like we write with today. Today, we're going to spend a bit of time pulling apart the threads that connect ancient English to the AI moment we're living through right now, because they're very similar in a lot of ways you wouldn't expect. Here's a story you weren't told in school. Rome tried to conquer the Germanic tribes with the sword. The legions marched into the forest of northern Europe and got slaughtered. The Teutoburg forest, 3 legions, gone. Rome retreated. So Rome tried something else. They conquered with the word. You see, the Latin word for word is verbum, but it didn't just mean a word in the dictionary sense. It meant the word, the law spoken from above, top-down, hierarchical, fixed. Reality bends to the word. The emperor speaks, the citizen obeys. That's the operating system Rome installed across Europe. Not the sword, the operating system. And when the legions finally fell and the empire collapsed, the church kept running it. Same hierarchy, same top-down structure, same verbum, just with a cross instead of an eagle. But before that operating system got installed, the Germanic tribes were running something else, something native, something older. They called it Wyrd. Not fate the way the Romans meant it, not a script written by gods. Wyrd was a web woven by every action of every person who came before you. Your grandfather's blood feud, the oath your mother swore, the field your ancestors burned, all of it woven together, tightening around you in the present moment. You couldn't escape Wyrd. You could only meet it. This wasn't religion in the modern sense. It was closer to how the Iroquois talk about the Great Spirit, but with a critical difference. The Germanic tribes didn't see Wyrd as one thing. They saw it as a web of relations. Everything connected. Every action mattered. The forest, the river, the dead, the living. All threads. These were Europe's natives. The same way the Iroquois are native to North America, the Saxons and Frisians and Goths were native to Europe. And they got conquered the same way. Not by guns, but by the operating system. Quick aside. There were holdouts. The Goths fought the Empire's version of Christianity for centuries. They lost. They got exterminated for losing, at least culturally. Statues chipped away from walls, historical records burned, and even 40 to 50,000 people burned during the Holy Roman Empire's reign. It wasn't a good picture. The version of Christianity that won was the version that kept the Roman operating system running, the hierarchical one, the one Jesus probably wouldn't have recognized, but I digress. Here's why I'm telling you any of this. Look at what we built in the last 50 years. We built a network. We made it global. We made every action on it leave a trace. Every word, every search, every click. Woven together into a structure that tightens around the present moment with the unstoppable weight of everyone who came before. We literally called it the World Wide Web. And then we trained large language models on top of it, stacks of digital layers mapping the relationships between every word humans ever wrote. A web of words, a web of consequence. We've been rebuilding Weird in Silicon for 50 years. We just didn't know what to call it.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Now, somebody noticed, or stumbled into it. Either way, Alex Hirsch, the creator of Gravity Falls, built an entire show around this idea, and then named the finale Wyrdmaggedon, W-E-I-R-D, rather than W-Y-R-D. Same root. Watch what the show actually does. The whole plot revolves around journals. Ford Pines goes into the wilderness, encounters something terrifying, and carves what he learns into physical books. Invisible ink, ciphers, runes, riddles. The Old English word for that kind of writing was ritan. To carve, to score, to cut into. You weren't laying ink on paper. You were physically scarring reality with your knowledge. Then Dipper finds the journal. He doesn't read it. He has to decipher it. The Old English word for that was redan. To interpret, to counsel, to guess. We still use it that way. I need to get a read on this room. We don't mean we want to look at a book. We mean we're trying to crack a code. That's exactly what Dipper does. That's what the whole show is doing. It's a peer-to-peer cryptographic exchange across 2 generations. Then the finale comes. Bill Cipher arrives. Reality breaks. The town is consumed. They call it Wyrdmaggedon. But look at the mechanics of it. It doesn't happen randomly. It happens because 30 years earlier, Ford Pines, driven by ambition and pride, built a portal. The portal opened a hole. Bill walked through. That is the literal Old English definition of weird. W-Y-R-D. The unstoppable weight of past actions arriving in the present. Ford carved his fate, and the consequences came due. And how does the Pines family beat Bill? Well, Gravity Falls spoilers here. Stan dresses up as his brother. He strips off his identity. He offers himself as bait. Bill takes the deal, enters Stan's mind to extract a secret, and the moment he's inside, Stan slams the doors shut and absorbs the destruction of his own consciousness to kill the demon trapped inside him. That's Beowulf, almost beat for beat. The hero strips off his armor, lets the monster come to him, and uses his own body as the trap. Anglo-Saxons told that story in stone halls 1,000 years ago. Hirsch retold it in animation in 2016. So here's where we are. If weird is the unstoppable web of past actions arriving as present consequence, and we've spent 50 years building a global word web with no off switch and no one in charge, what does that make the AI moment we're in right now? I'd call it a Wyrdmaggedon. The exact same word, the exact same mechanism, the story your ancestors were trying to tell you. But here's the part that your boss doesn't want you to know. Here's the part that tech media doesn't want you to know. Anyway, if you use ChatGPT every day, you are not the problem.
Stimulants may cause diarrhea, vomiting, muscle spasms, sore throat, memory loss, suicidal thoughts, and unexpected pregnancy. Vivid nightmares and intimate relationships with inanimate objects may occur. Avoid taking stimulants with other drugs or alcohol. Those with a history of breathing, swimming, eating, or being a Homo sapien on planet Earth may have a negative reaction to stimulants. If you begin to experience liver dysfunction, swelling, cancer, blurry vision or loss of vision, autism, hallucinations, sweating, or frequent encounters with the demons of Salzar, call your doctor right away. Don't let any more time go to waste. Take back your motivation and become mentally and physically capable once again. Now that I'm on Stimulex, I feel motivated, happy, and ready to work. Take back control of your life today. Ask your doctor if Stimulex is right for you.
Consumer AI queries, every prompt sent by every regular person on Earth, account for roughly 3 to 5% of total data center power. 3 to 5. The other 95+% is corporate cloud infrastructure, AI training runs, and increasingly military AI workloads. The Pentagon's kill chain projects, sensor fusion, Project Maven, surveillance at scale. Those are the projects burning the rivers, not yours. So when the carbon guilt narrative comes for you, hand it back. The companies and contracts running the actual Wyrdmaggedon factories are pretending it's your fault for asking a chatbot what to make for dinner. You don't have to play. You can run this stuff yourself. Here's the simplest path. If you have a laptop with 8 gigabytes of RAM or so, which is most laptops sold in the last 5 years, typically with more RAM than that, you can do this today for free in about 20 minutes. The time it took to listen to this podcast or less. You install something called Ollama. Ollama. It's a free program that runs language models on your own machine. You download a small model. Google's Gemma 4 E2B is a really good one for an 8 gigabyte RAM machine. It has 2 billion parameters and fits comfortably on that small laptop. Open the terminal, type one command, and you have a private AI running on your own hardware. No cloud, no company, no data leaving your machine. It's not quite as smart as Google's 1 trillion parameter model or comparable models, but it can at least tell you what to make for dinner. Or do some writing help, summarizing, research with the right plugins. And it'll keep working when your internet doesn't. When the company changes its policies, when your subscription expires, or when the data center burns down, hopefully. If you want to go deeper, the rabbit hole is wide open. Obsidian for knowledge management, architectures like RWKV that run more efficiently and allegedly have infinite memory, agentic command line tools that let you string everything together, OpenClaw if you want to try that out. None of it is hidden. All of it is free. Well, as free as the hardware you run it on. You don't need to be a programmer. You need to be willing to type a couple of commands and read some documentation. That's the whole bar. Probably a 10-minute YouTube video if you're still confused. The Anglo-Saxons had a concept called mood. It meant the active fighting spirit, the courage you actually deploy when the storm is at the door. They had another one called Thol-Yan, to endure, to stand firm, to hold on. And the only thing that survived your physical death in their worldview was your dome, your reputation, your legacy. The word doom is rooted in it a bit. It's built by what you did when everyone else panicked. When the Wyrdmaggedon hits, and it's hitting, you are not a passive observer. You bind down. You hold the line. You learn the tools. You build your dome. Here's what I'm asking you to take from this. Our most modern technological anxiety is a 1,500-year-old philosophical problem wearing new clothes. The fight between verbum and weird, between top-down word and bottom-up web, has never stopped. We've just forgotten we were in it. You have the mood. You have the tools. The weird is at the door whether you're ready or not. But whether you build a dome in the storm or get swept away by it is entirely up to you. This was Wyrdmaggedon. I'll see you in the web.